Like everything's blowing up.
Chases, explosions, bays. Transformers 0.05. Optimus. That's one thing that I wish I could go through on a lot of movies, and like Star Wars. And every time that home dude screams Rey, you know, he's always like Rey, like fucking 15 times, and like in a 10-minute sequence. I just want to edit that shit out. My personal thing.
This is the Brock Smith cut.
Yes. Everybody would be like, "What did you cut?" Nothing really, except for all the Rey.
Conversely, I want to cut Walking Dead, all the seasons down to just places where people are yelling, "Coral! Coral!" That's all I want to hear. It'd probably take a good hour, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's 1 hour from season 3.
Yeah.
Quite good. Attack warning. Is it for real? Attack warning for bloody real.
Live from Colorado Springs, the Drop Culture Podcast.
Want to confirm, is this an exercise? Roger, copy. This is not an exercise.
Come on, quick, get down. 1, 2, 3.
Welcome, everybody, to the Dropped Culture Podcast. This is that podcast where we pick up that piece of pop culture you forgot about or missed, shine it up real nice, and cram it in your ear holes. I'm Dan, and just like every week, I am joined by the illustrious one, Mr.
Count Brocula.
Count Brocula. Mr. Count Brocula.
Mr. Count Brocula.
Yes. Sexual Brocula.
Sexual broccoli. That's like my favorite one. You know, that'd be awesome. What are we doing this week?
We're going to talk about a little movie brought to you by the gentleman that started his career filing storyboards for George Lucas and Indiana Jones. A little guy you may know. You may have heard of this fella.
Did he make Avatar?
No. I don't know if that had been better. Not than this movie. I know the answer to that, and it's kind of a tie. But talking about Michael Bay, son. The king of explosions, chase scenes, divinals videos.
He's the Kevin Bacon of directors.
More commercial.
Yes.
Yeah, more commercial than Kevin Bacon.
It's like if you put Kenny Loggins and Kevin Bacon together, you got Michael Bay.
Well, Kevin Bacon had the upside of his last name's Bacon. Everybody loves bacon.
Except for...
I mean, nobody's like, oh, I love Bays.
Mashed potatoes fucking kick ass, man. There's some good fucking Chex Mix.
But getting back to what we're doing today, Michael Bay's 2005, The Island.
It's almost 20 years ago.
I know.
That is pretty crazy.
Olden times. This is in the before.
Yes. This is before the plague. This is before everything. So, first impressions of the movie.
I'll tell you that the first time I ever watched this movie, I did not know what it was about. I think it was in a stack of movies, and I was like, oh, I've never seen The Island. And I was like, oh.
It's got Ewan McGregor in it.
Ewan McGregor's in this. Okay, cool. Scarlett Johansson. That never hurts a movie, in my opinion.
Jesus loves you, girl.
God must love you guys.
Yes,
he
God,
really loves you.
He really loves you, girl.
That's the greatest line of this movie, by the way. But Michael Clark Duncan, I'm like, oh man, there's some people in this.
Steve
okay.
Buscemi.
Steve Buscemi, yeah.
So Michael Bay's meteoric rise in the early 2000s.
See what you did there.
Mm-hmm. Yes, inadvertently. But really, he blew up in like 4 to 5 years, exploded on the fucking scene.
Yeah, and all of his movies made money.
Good
money.
God.
I think the first 3 or 4 movies like combined made like $800 million or some silliness like that.
It was the over-the-top cinema that everybody wanted at the time.
Armageddon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Come on. A team of funny dudes, going up there and making jokes and shit.
A fish out of water.
Yeah. Let's put some miners on an asteroid. But this movie brought them all back together.
So this movie, like when I first watched it, I was like, man, this is really interesting.
Yeah.
Like when I first started watching it, I was like, cause especially out of the blue, again, just in a stack of movies, right? And this had to been like close to whenever this came out on video.
Yeah.
And then suddenly it becomes a whole nother movie about halfway through. And I mean, it's still the story, I guess. It's still, it's all linear. I'm not saying that, but like just the kind of movie that it is.
Yeah.
Changes.
It
becomes Michael Bay.
Yeah. It could have been split into 2 and had a much broader story, richer characters.
Yeah.
But it was compacted into the 4 hours it is. Jesus Christ, it keeps going. I mean, it just keeps going. Once you think that they've reached a resolution and you're like, all right, yeah, no. Let's fucking start all over again. So there's just a lot of there's a lot of good things with this movie, and don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And I was like you too. Probably it was somebody was like, oh, this movie's out. You want to go watch it or something? It was probably that. Or I watched it on cable or something. But I don't really remember watching it.
Right.
That's how memorable it was to me at the time.
Now, if I told you, Brock, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a movie. It's going to come out in the summer. Big movie time, right? Big time movie time. I'm going to have the director from Armageddon. I'm going to have Ewan McGregor,
Yeah,
Obi-Wan.
That one dude from Train Spotting.
Yep, or Train Spotting. I think he was Obi-Wan at this time.
Yeah, right this time, yeah.
I'm going to bring this awesome Scarlett Johansson, right?
She's new. She was in Ghost World.
Yeah.
Cool shit.
And she did something right before this, too, that was kind of popular. I don't remember offhand. Anyways. Yeah. And Michael Clark Duncan, right?
Right.
And it's gonna have awesome chase scenes. It's gonna be legit. It's gonna have a sci-fi spin. Can I get this producer?
Oh, no doubt.
Awesome, awesome. Except it didn't do very well. This movie cost $126 million to make. It made $162.9 million.
That is a loss.
Hold on. In the United States, it made like $35 million.
It was buried.
I don't think that it was just that it was buried. I think it was poor marketing. Michael Bay said as much himself.
Yeah.
And I totally understand where he's coming from, because he's like, the title, The Island, it was completely spun. So first of all, they didn't have enough money to finish this movie. First off, it was DreamWorks, right?
Yeah, I think so. It started off right.
And then they had to bring Warner Brothers in and let them do the international side of it, so they could finish the movie.
Okay.
Because Michael Bay likes to make expensive movies. He likes explosions. We know this.
That costs money.
Yeah, exactly.
Gunpowder.
That's right. So, like, Warner Brothers pitched it as an action movie overseas.
Oh, that's what it was, right?
Except that's not what they did in the United States. They tried to make it as more of a cerebral sci-fi movie, if you will.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which it is in the first half.
You can tell that they were throwing a lot of things out there, a lot of great concepts.
Right.
But never really continuing those concepts. It's like they would give you a glimpse of something really cool, like the beginning of the fucking movie. You're like, holy shit. And then they would take that away and replace it with something that had nothing to do with it in a weird way. It was like they forgot the heart of the movie for the action.
Yeah, I'll buy that to some degree. So let's talk about how, first of all, he got involved in this movie.
Okay.
He was getting ready to make a movie about, I think it was some creatures, like spider creatures that lived in the world and like were going to kill people. Big, giant spider creatures.
8-legged freaks?
Similar, but I think they were only 4-legged or something. I don't remember what it was. Now, remember, this movie came out in 2005.
Yes.
Okay. It's important to remember that because there's another movie that came out in 2005 that had giant, long-legged creature,
Tripods.
alien tripods, if you will.
Tripods.
And that was War of the Worlds. So, oddly enough, Steven Spielberg got pitched the script, and he calls up Michael Bay, who he knows is working on this Tripods movie of his own. And he's like, or leaning towards doing that. He's like, I found this script. I think you'd be great. Now, Steven Spielberg calls you, and you're a director from a younger generation. You're going to be like, he goes, but I need the answer tomorrow.
Holy shit.
I believe that's the story. And so he read it, and he's like, fuck it, I'm in. Let's go. Right?
You can't pass that up.
So, in 2005, when this movie came out, it made $35 million and whatever, 100 and something. War of the Worlds came out, had no competition in the tripods.
No.
And made $600 million.
That's fucking outrageous.
But it was almost like he knew. I'm not saying he did it because of that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
It's like he knew that the movie needed to get made, but he didn't want to do it. He wanted to do his own. So it was
I think it was almost like, I need to find something for this guy to do so he doesn't make a movie that has something to do, like people are going to confuse with my fucking movie.
It's fucking.
I really feel like that's the case.
It's smart, and Steven Spielberg's been around.
Yeah, he knows the game.
I think out of that whole, American Zoetrope club,
Yeah.
I mean, him and he's the prominent one out of all of that. I mean, Coppola's the archer.
Yeah.
And then you got fucking Spielberg who's like, I'm in it for the fucking blockbuster.
Yeah.
And that was his name is attached to a lot of blockbusters in this early part too.
Sure.
But in the early part of the 2000s, and not necessarily him directing them, but like
producing
War of the Worlds was huge because it was fucking Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
Who's not going to want to go believe,
Right.
That's all it's a fucking about, man. It's Jaws fucking, and he just makes it better.
Yeah. So I think Bay realized early on that they were marketing it incorrectly here. In fact, I think that after the movie came out, he had, I'm sure he didn't go person to person, but he had 100 people polled that didn't even know the movie came out. Like 98% of them never knew that the movie even was a thing.
Hey, and makes sense. Fucking, I mean, that's fucking crazy, dude. For a summer blockbuster of this
Magnitude with the amount of star power that's in it.
Right.
The director, I mean,
so,
again, he's a director who's made, every movie he's made hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah. Well, and let's talk about the cast just to bring that into that. I mean, you have Ewan McGregor, right?
Yeah.
He's Tom Lincoln 6 Echo or whatnot, right?
Yeah.
So he's the Echo of the real life one.
Echo
anyway.
6, right?
Something like that.
Yeah.
6 Echo.
6 Echo.
Lincoln 6S Echo, whatever.
Words.
But he was literally kind of on the upswing of everything. Yeah, he was Obi-Wan Kenobi, and everybody fucking enjoyed that. He's still Obi-Wan Kenobi. Right. That's something that he's kept from those days. In this one,
I think he had been doing some things too since Trainspotting. Yeah.
And this must have been, and I feel this was kind of like tryouts for Transformers.
Okay.
The formula is there. Look at the characters, look at the fucking action, look at all of that shit like that. He made Transformers, he just threw in the fucking giant robots. You know what I mean? So, I mean, with this, Ewan McGregor's young enough. Imagine if he was in Transformers.
Sure.
Okay. You could. It would have maybe been a little bit more, but I mean, it's Shia LaBeouf, right? Yeah. And then also Megan Fox, right? Imagine if they had Scarlett Johansson instead of Megan Fox.
Right.
He was going for a fucking type.
Right, sure.
I mean, and then Megan Fox all of a sudden makes all the movies. So it was like tryouts, right? And I want to play the football. Yeah, tryouts. Come to the tryouts. So it seemed to me it was like they were building everything up, and he knew he could do Transformers after this. You know,
sure.
what I mean? But it was like all of these people, he kept a lot of the same people. I guess all the dudes that were like, hey, Michael Bay, you rule. But it was a couple more years and Ewan McGregor was doing even more.
Sure.
Scarlett Johansson exploded.
Right.
So imagine if this movie did good.
Sure. And this was for, since we're talking about the cast, Scarlett Johansson, this was really her first action role. And in fact, her character was supposed to be like asthmatic and more frail. And they decided that wasn't the case, and it made her badass. But right after this is when she started doing more of the action movies, like that Lucy movie. Was it Ultraviolet? Was that her?
No, that was
Charlize Theron.
No, Ultraviolet was the Resident Evil chick.
Oh yeah, Mia Jovovich.
Yeah, Mia.
I just like to do it so I kind of slur at the end.
Jovovich. She had her own thing going on at that point.
Yeah.
She was all fucking, Resident Evil.
Yeah, I can't think of what Ghost in a Shell.
Yes.
That was it.
Well, no, she did. Yeah, she did
But I mean,
it
that's
afterwards.
just another. Those are movies that came out afterwards where she was a little more action heavy.
Right, but sci-fi at the same time.
Yeah.
So she's always kept that kind of a deal in there. But then becoming the Black Widow was really fucking cool because she embodies the character fucking 100%. I always wanted to see her with the short red hair, the fucking 90s Black Widow.
Yeah.
But she was still fucking badass. And the Black Widow movie is one of the best Marvel movies ever, I think. I put it up there.
Ooh.
Yeah, I do. I like it. I really like it.
Sure.
I think it's like way...
Hollow villain. That's what I'll tell you. Hollow villain.
Okay.
I like the character arc just fine. I like all the
action and everything like that.
And I like David Harbour's character. I liked all that. I just thought the villain was very hollow.
It wasn't what it should have been.
No.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying
I like it. Yeah.
I'm not saying the Taskmaster portion because everybody knows how much I like Taskmaster as a comic book character.
Right.
I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying the main bad guy floating in the sky.
The Red Room?
Yeah. Beyond the Red Room and the Red Throne, I guess, or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I
was like,
understand.
who the hell is this guy?
I really liked it when it came out because it was everything that you wanted. It was kind of like the leftovers of everything after Endgame.
Yeah, sure.
But yet it kept it going. It was a good transitional movie, kind of like The Island was a transitional movie for effects.
It's true.
That was a good transition.
It was back into the movie we were talking about in the first place before we get off on a really far tangent.
Well, she was doing independent films, and I remember the first time really seeing her was Ghost World.
Yeah.
With Steve Buscemi was in it too.
Yep.
And that was based off a comic book. And then she's got Lost in Translation, which was the one that really turned her, I don't know, like gave her more power for her star or something.
Yeah, sure.
You know what I mean? She was in a Bill Murray movie. But you also got the I don't know how you say his name, Diamond Hinsu.
Oh,
one of the best character actors out there.
He's awesome.
Shazam.
Yeah.
Fucking
like everything that he's in. He definitely lends like some gravitas to whatever role he's in. My
Guardians
opinion.
of the Galaxy, fucking Constantine, Shazam, Killing Zoe was pretty good too. Gladiator.
Yeah.
Just some fucking good movies. And then you got Sean Bean, which he dies in everything.
Yeah.
006.
That's what he does.
He's 006 to me because of GoldenEye.
Yeah, right.
And always will be. I'll always look at him like that. I mean, he was in Lord of the Rings too. Equilibrium, which we covered.
Yeah.
Troy, fucking. And then, of course, Game of Thrones, which is the big runaway. Blah,
I
blah,
guess.
blah.
Yeah.
Michael Clark Duncan.
Somebody watch that shit.
And Michael Clark Duncan kills it in this role for the 2 minutes that he's in it.
Yeah. But I think, probably lends the best performance to this movie.
Out of anybody in the whole film. And you notice it, which is really cool because you're like, damn, that dude is fucking really good.
That guy's acting.
Yes.
That motherfucker knows how to act.
Damn. He's good.
Yeah.
Give that guy a raise.
Man. Tell you
Put him in a good movie like, oh, wait a minute, The Green Mile.
He's tired, boss. Real
shit,
tired.
You know how many fucking awards he almost got for that? Jesus.
For sure.
I mean, and plus he was fucking the first Kingpin that we really saw.
Yeah.
You know? So he was around in a lot of really cool shit.
Got his ass kicked by Batman in that one, I remember.
Yeah. The red Batman. And then Steve Buscemi, of course.
Same actor.
Yeah, and Buscemi actually dies in this one.
Yeah.
I know he died in Reservoir Dogs. He got shot
True.
after he ran out, but he was the last one standing anyway. But you can hear him getting arrested in the background. But then, I mean, he lends that gravitas too.
Absolutely.
The first thing I remember him in was Tales from the Dark Side.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
But still, one of my favorite movies, Monsters Inc. and then Monsters University. He's still that voice, and you're like, dude, that's him.
I'm surprised you didn't do a callback to Con Air.
No. No. Yeah, I watch that movie too much anyway. Okay, you know that Kim Coates guy, right? Okay, nobody really. You can't say, "Oh yeah, I know Kim Coates." No,
I don't even know who you're talking about.
Exactly right. He's he plays a small role in this one. His name is Charles Whitman.
Oh, okay.
And he was in Last Man Standing, Battlefield Earth, Open Range, and Waterworld. Waterworld, he was the guy that comes up on the fucking Mariner's boat, and the Mariner almost trades the woman, and then he ends up killing him. He was in he's been in a lot of Kevin Costner movies. It's like him and Kevin Costner are friends, because he was one of the main bad guys in Open Range. One of the best parts of the whole fucking movie. You know, I mean, he's a very, very good character actor, but he's the one that I'm always like, hey, is he just friends with all these dudes? Yes. Yes. And he's not a bad
when you're
actor.
around that long, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Kevin Costner, you're going to find the people you like to work with.
Exactly.
Like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, exactly. And then I'm trying to think, Ethan Phillips from Star Trek. He was like, what was it, Neelix or some shit?
Sure.
He was on 170 fucking episodes of this shit, right? So...
I mean, I know because I did research, but
Yeah.
I didn't know before then.
Well, see, and then you get to the other little character ones like Glenn Morshower, right? He was the courier, but he was in shit. He's always like a fucking general or some shit. He was in X-Men.
Sure.
He was in or X-Men First Class.
Plus,
he was
yeah.
in then you got Tom Everett, which he wasn't really in a lot of shit, but I think he was still the president in fucking Transformers.
Oh, wow.
He might have been. I don't know. And then he was in, what was it, Best of the Best? Ooh.
The first one? The original Best of the Best?
Yes.
Wow.
And then you got this Chris Ellis dude, which he was in, of course, Planet of the Apes, fucking Transformers, Armageddon, Days of Thunder. I mean, the dude was around. So those are your main screen time people. There's a couple of other people that I like. Shawnee Smith.
Mm-hmm.
She was the one that was in there for like that long.
Right.
She's part of the Stand. She's the fucking crazy shit.
Yeah.
She always did really cool characters, you know, and she still does. I don't think I've seen Shawnee Smith in anything except for like Saw 2 and this. But that's who your principals are. Honestly, that's you put all that together. How could this fail?
And yet it did. I'll be honest. I think I was more invested in the first half of the movie.
Yeah, because you don't know what's going on.
Right.
But
like
you
even,
infer.
even after I watched it.
Yeah.
You know, and watched it again for this.
Yeah. So what's the movie about?
So in the far-flung future of 2019,
It's the past now.
we are brought into an underground system, right? Where these people are safe from this contamination that's hit the earth.
Right.
So that's what we know.
And
They live there. Everything's very structured.
They have a lottery
Yeah, and they have a lottery where they can go to this one island.
that's been uncontaminated.
Yeah, it's not contaminated, so they can go there and like live out their life and like be outside and breathe regular air and
Right.
do all the things. But everything's very monitored, like what level their sodium is when they take a piss. It's like read out to them.
Yeah,
they're
everything
like-
about them.
yeah.
They're trying to keep them perfect.
Right.
which they do kind of allude to that whenever home dude's holding her hand. He's like, your skin is so soft.
Yep.
It's because of that shit. You know, they're not eating all the junk.
Right.
You know, but it is very like it's everybody has their own menial tasks.
Yeah.
That are helping the whole thing.
The whole community.
Yeah. And they look forward to the lottery, but yet they still have their fun and games, and they have drinking parties or whatnot.
And they have one doctor, Dr. Merrick, who's in charge of everything. Yeah. Pretty much.
Sean Bean.
Sean Bean, yeah. So you know he's going to die.
Yeah, he should.
There's like a lot of rules in place as well, like proximity. Like there's a time when him and Scarlett Johansson are talking, and like a guard comes over and is like, "Hey, proximity rules."
Yeah,
you know,
proximity alert.
Yeah,
they can't, and also, Ewan McGregor acts like a kid. They all act like teenagers.
It's like they're. So when I first watched this, I'm like, it's like they've been kept away from society, right? Mm-hmm. So that they are growing, they're maturing emotionally and mentally at a different level, right?
Right.
That's what I thought because of this community that they're in.
Yeah.
Right? Obviously, we learn things later.
Yeah.
But we see him have like. Everybody's like excited, you know. Everybody wants to get to the island. Some people have like, I've been here for 7 years.
How many years you been here too? Oh my God, he was here 6 months.
Right, exactly.
So you get that too.
Yeah,
you get that little bit of. It's like people are taken away at weird times.
Yeah. It doesn't have anything to do with how long they've been there.
They don't mention how they were born or anything like that.
No, what they keep coming back to, because we see one a little later, is they bring in a new guy and they're like, yeah, we found him, and you know he's gone through decontamination.
Survivors,
right? So then they are teaching him a task, right? Put it in the cylinder.
And
in the cylinder.
Yeah, and they notice too that more and more of those survivors, they're finding more and more of them.
Right.
That's what that Neelix dude says.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, yeah, there's so many survivors now. Yeah. So you know that they're expanding and growing. Right. Whatever they're in is growing too.
Well, and I think we really start off, before we get into most of it, with a dream sequence.
Yeah.
From Ewan McGregor's character, where he's like on a boat and there's some pretty woman and sun shining, and then all of a sudden like these creatures grab him, knock him off the boat, and drag him underwater.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Weird. Right.
And they keep saying how special he is.
Yeah.
You're special.
Yeah, but he has these weird dreams, and they monitor his dreams. He takes a piss, they monitor that shit. He can't have fucking bacon.
Except for Scarlett Johansson.
She's good.
She's good. She goes, let me show you.
Yeah. And she
gets
like,
extra bacon.
Yeah. She's like 5 pieces of bacon.
8,
like,
25.
Yoink.
And she gives him some bacon.
Yeah,
that's
but
why his sodium's up.
Yeah, and because of his dream, he has to go see Sean Bean, basically. Mm-hmm. So it's weird because he's still kind of bouncing around and being the kid. They have the proximity alert shit. He goes to see the big boss, right? And the big boss is like, hey, tell me about your dream. He's like,
well, he's like, how's it going? And he goes, well, it must be not going so well because I'm here.
Right. And this is where you get that lackadaisical teenager, like grabbing shit, fucking doing whatever. And he's like, well, draw me this picture. Show me what it looked like. So he draws this fucking really nice, badass fucking
like
photo
he does an awesome job.
While he's talking at the same time. So you can obviously tell he's really bright compared,
right,
you know, to like the Neelix dude. It was just like pushing shit in the fucking deal, you know? And nobody's really thinking about what they're doing.
And one thing that he does that nobody else does is he asks a lot of questions.
Yes.
Always. Which is good. I mean, you know.
And you know, he's friends with everybody, you know, I mean, well, enough to where people notice him in a way. So he's kind of stand out at that point too, in a little way.
Yeah.
Because they're just focusing on him anyway
in
the movie. But then, I mean, he does sneak out and he figures out, because this is all calculated like he had done it before.
Right.
So that new guy, you know, shows up, and then the woman that's pregnant has a fucking baby, you know, or she's having her baby right there, you know, right by Scarlett Johansson.
She like falls down, like,
And he's like, hey, my computer's down. So as soon as that happened, he pulls out his computer chip, and that's his way to get into the bowels.
Right.
Right. So he's like, all right, fuck it. And the dude's like,
So
take your contamination.
Before we get there, because we have to talk about how Michael Clark Duncan won.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So he won his trip to the island, right? And he's on there, and he's like, I don't normally get like this, but I'm so excited. Who's the coolest me? You know?
Totally fucking happy because he won the lottery.
Yeah, he's going to the island, dude.
That's the one thing that they live
to
for.
breathe, like, good air and live on the beach. This is going to be awesome, dude.
It's the freest that they feel.
Yeah.
You know, and he's a big motherfucker, too.
Yeah, well,
like
he's Michael Clark Duncan.
Yeah. So, I mean, I wonder what his job was there. You know what I mean?
Lifting stuff.
You think it was like fucking squirting nutrients into tubes or some
Probably
shit?
not. He had to pick up metal things and move them to other areas.
Throw him across the room
Right.
because he's a fucking badass.
Right.
But yeah.
Dodge Ben Affleck.
But that was even whenever they were in the elevator and they're watching the ad come up about it, and then the one dude's mad because he's been there for 8 years or some shit like that.
Yeah, something.
And then the cops are there. You know, the thought police are there.
Well, because he punches the screen.
Mm-hmm. Thought police show up, and he's like, fuck.
But he plays it off. He's like, oh, you know, I'm fine.
Yeah. Which, you know, they're watching everything.
Right.
They have the proximity bracelets.
Yeah.
So they have those bracelets on, but you don't really know what they're for at that point. But you know that that's the one thing that can keep everything together. Right. And that's how they pay for their food. That's how they do everything.
Stim credits.
Yes. So it's like stem cells.
Yeah, I know, right?
So, yeah, we still really don't know what's going on. He's visiting Steve Buscemi down in the bowels of whatever.
Right.
You know, and they're drinking.
Yeah, he's like, where do you get this?
Yeah, he's like, this is awesome, dude.
And he's asking him a ton of questions.
Yeah, he's like, what is this? What is that? And then
what's Quadrant 4 like?
Yeah. He's like, and Buscemi just, he never really gives anything up,
right.
You know? But then he sees a moth. That fucking giant moth.
Yeah.
So he chases a moth, catches the moth, brings it back to his room, and he's like a little kid. He's enamored with it because it's something brand new.
Right, and we find out a little bit later that like all the insects are supposed to be dead from the contamination. So where did it come from?
Yeah, exactly. It was like, what? So there was that little glimpse. So him and Scarlett Johansson get into a fight, right?
Sorta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
it's
on
like
an
a
Xbox.
video game fight.
Yeah.
But they are really kicking each other, and not really, but
somehow
really
digitally.
Yeah. Haptic feedback. I don't know.
I don't know how that
but
works.
apparently you can kick somebody's tooth out.
Virtual tooth.
Virtual tooth.
And she beats his ass. She fucking kicks the shit
but
out of him.
Earlier they kind of preface that he's like, later on I'll get you blah 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 blah. They're like talking shit to each other, and we don't know what that's about.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they're like fighting it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. They're like really fighting. They go up to the bar and everything, and he's all, "Hey, guess what? I found a bug." She's like, "A bug? Oh my god!"
She gets all excited too
because it's fucking something new. They're only taught, we find out, up to the age of 15, I think. So they don't allow, you know, any kind of love or anything like that. They just take it out, and their distraction for everything is the island. Right. You know, so, and Ewan McGregor's already jumping out of that. He's like the
he's the questioner, right?
Yeah, he's the one. But we noticed that other people are thinking the same thing,
right?
You know, like the dude in the elevator, the guy
that's I got it all worked out.
Yeah, but he's like, if you multiply, subtract, divide, and add to, then you get my last name. I'm going, you know. So it's, and the way it was kind of put in, like the facts, that it was like the One Flew Over the Cuckoo's moment, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest moment, where everybody knows something's quite not right.
Yeah.
But it makes sense, you know, and, you know, people are going to notice if they've been there long enough,
right?
Or they're going to look at something and someone's going to catch them if you have any kind of sentience whatsoever.
Right.
It's just going to happen. So his is like way more, but yet it attracts other people that are like that.
Sure. Then as it does. I mean, in any society, right?
Yeah. I mean, and after he kind of gets back, when does he, because he tells him about the bug, and then what happens after the bugs, because he's in his room looking at it, right?
Yeah.
And so he decides to explore some more, pretty much.
Yeah.
And that's how he kind of gets, he follows that up, and he goes upstairs.
Yeah, so he goes back into like the air shaft or whatever.
Just following it.
Yeah, just following it. And then that's where we see the girl that was taken, that was pregnant, and they were like, oh, you're going to the island, you're going to have this baby, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And they take the baby, and then they shoot her up and kill her.
Yeah. They euthanize her, basically.
Yeah, just right there.
The woman has some emotion because she knows she's killing something, right? But then she straps her legs in, and it's not a very easy death.
No.
It was fucking like gross. Like, it's violent, and then that's whenever he kind of runs in and he sees her, right? So now at this point, you're like, holy shit, what's really going on? They deliver the baby to the exact same woman.
Right.
But you know what I mean? It's like and we don't know that they're growing shit until like the next part.
Well, we get Michael Clark Duncan's big part, where we know he won and went to the island.
But did he?
Well, he's hooked up to a bunch of tubes, and he's like, I don't want to die.
Oh, man, they cut him fucking his chest open.
Yeah.
And he runs out, and he looks genuinely like fucking scared as shit.
Terrified, dude. It was such great acting in that.
And they nail him in the back of the fucking feet with their grappling guns.
Yeah.
That's fucking inhumane as fuck, too, man.
Of course,
you know what I
dude.
mean? It's so, they just like shoot these fucking barbs into him and start pulling him.
Yeah.
But he's screaming like, I want to go. You really feel it.
I don't want to die.
But that's when Ewan McGregor goes back. But he saw the giant fucking silicone boobies.
Oh, yeah.
where they were growing everything.
Yeah, the pods.
Yeah,
because he landed in that and he didn't know exactly. Yeah.
And we also get to see Buscemi got to see some of that too, because he goes in there and he's like, guys, don't do this while I'm in here. And they're still in a I would say for a production like that where they're creating flesh and skin and shit like that, they're opening the fucking deals with box knives.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, no, there'd probably be a different process. It'd be like Demolition Man or some shit.
So there is one scene earlier when, because I think it comes into play later, we should probably at least set up, and I thought it was an interesting scene, is when he goes to see Sean Bean and he puts the metal things in his eye. He's like, this is just going to, it's not going to hurt at all.
It's like, but it really hurts.
He's like, no, it really hurts. And they just start unrolling and then rolling into his eye.
Yeah, they're little bitty nano spiders or some shit. So they go in there, they're going to work around his brain. And he even says something like, it's going to hurt when it comes out.
Yeah, because he has to pee him out.
Yes.
Yeah.
God damn. Ouch.
He goes, now that might hurt.
Yeah, that's going to hurt. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt. So that they don't really...
Because later on,
they're only bringing that up one time.
Yeah.
They can't find him, but yet they have that thing in his fucking brain.
Well, they track it.
Is that what they're tracking?
Because he pisses into the urinal. And
well, they track that part. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Because they find him, because they go back to... Because they find their way back. I guess those nanobots they're like home to go back home. Or some shit like that. Or just transmit their data.
A little bit later, yeah.
But so they're cutting these things up, so you get to see skeletal systems, you get to see fucking nervous systems, shit like that.
And it's announced right before he goes on this little adventure that Scarlett Johansson's character
is going to the island.
She won. She's going to the island.
She won that night. They were all drinking around and shit.
That's right.
Yeah. And
at their drinking party.
What is her name? Jordan 6 Delta or some shit like that?
Sure. Jordan
2 Delta.
Yeah.
She's part of the Delta series.
Yeah, which we find out here in just a bit what that means.
Yeah. So, I mean, Ewan McGregor freaks out and he runs back because he knows the next day she's going. So he runs in basically to the woman's barracks.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And he's banging on her door and she's getting ready and everything. She's getting ready to go to the island. And he's like, no, we got to go.
And she's like, at first she thinks he's there just like to congratulate her and like see her off.
Yeah. But it wasn't weird for her. It was weird for everybody he walked past and ran past. Oh my God, it's a man. She's like, hey, what's up?
Man.
Yeah, he's a man. But yet she's like, hey, what's up? Thanks for coming by. You know what I mean? And then they get a little bit further down the hall. He's like, we got to go right now. Let's get the fuck out of here. And she's like, no, I want to go back to my room. That's the only part of her that's like weak at that point. That's it.
Because this is all she knows.
Mm-hmm. And it was like changed in an instant. For him, he had been building up to it kind of. Her, she was really thrown into it really fast.
And what did she see when they were leaving that Because eventually they figure out. Because so when the Michael Clark Duncan thing happens, he's like all crouched down. Because he's like caught in the hallway, pretty much.
Yeah.
So he crouches down, but he's got on a lab coat.
Yeah, but they see his bracelet.
Well, not yet. Because the guy helps him up.
Yes.
And sends him on his way, and that's when he runs back to his room.
Yeah.
But that comes into play later.
Yeah,
But
because
I'm trying to think what it was when they're running and they're leaving, they're trying to get away. What it is that she sees, because he's like, do you still think there's an island? Maybe it's the cloning.
Yeah, well, they end up falling down into the pod room.
That's what it was.
And where they're doing all the mind control shit, or they're doing all
that's right. You're special. You're the video playback,
and they show the bombs going off, and they're doing they're really brain conditioning every one of these new bodies or whatnot.
Right.
And and he's like, do you really you think there still is an island? And they're like, what the fuck, you know?
Then we have the one guy that catches like on to who it is that's running around doing these things, because he watches that video of Michael Clark Duncan breaking out and that guy helping him up, and he sees the bracelet.
Yeah, because they're making fun of it.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, watch this, and they because he knocks some dude into the glass.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, they get to see that. He's like, no, fucking, let's get out of here.
Yeah.
So they end up on the surface. They get up through like some weird silo type deal.
As you do in an alternate dystopian future.
They're in the middle of the desert.
Yeah.
But yet somehow they end up in L.A.
As you do.
I guess, right? And which is, they figure out that they can look for their other people from Buscemi.
So... They weren't in L.A. then, though. They had to fly to L.A. Remember? Or take the train, I'm sorry, rather than L.A.
Yes.
So that's whatever town Buscemi lives in, the closest town.
Yeah, because he's a worker
or
over
whatever.
there. Yeah, they find him from the bar. They go to the bar.
Yeah, because he had the matchbook or whatever it was.
Yeah.
That had the bar's name on. It's really the only thing he had, because when they're out there and there's like the road signs, he's like, 39. Oh.
Yeah, and the motorcycle drives by and he's like, I want one.
Yeah.
You know, because they spend the night.
She goes, what is that? And he goes, I don't know, but I want one.
Yeah, so they end up going to that bar and they're looking for, and they're like, you ain't from around here, boy. You know what I mean? And then they end up in the bathroom. They're like, he's taking a dump. So they go in there, and he knocks down the door, and of course that classic Michael Bay shit where they make a joke out of it. He's like, just, let me pull my pants back up. We'll go back to my house. We'll be alone. And the dude's like, The
guy walks in like,
so
need a little privacy?
He's like, it's not what you think, Walter. So they go there, and so he kind of shows him, he kind of tells him the whole story of what they are, in a way.
Before that, like, they come back out and Scarlett Johansson's already down like 3 shots. And then the guy, what's he say? Like something about look up or something like, or he says something and she just starts staring at the ceiling.
Yeah. Set him up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Set him up. Huh? And she looks up. Yeah. So she's starting to drink, but yet they hop in Buscemi's ride, and which is that little Dodge truck or whatnot.
Yeah.
They end up at his trailer house. Why? And then he's taking them to the train station.
Yes.
So they're at the train station, and that's when Buscemi...
Because he decides to go after this is where we uncover, Buscemi kind of lays out exactly what's going on. Mm-hmm. That they are basically parts for some rich person.
Spare parts for rich people.
Yeah. Like that's what they were grown for.
Right.
And they find out like that the Delta... And was it he the Delta? No, he was the Echo.
Yeah, he's the Echo.
So he's like been there for 5 years. That's what that means.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah. They have different generations of when they were there.
Yeah,
and then plus Scarlett Johansson's number comes up, so that comes into play because she gets to see herself in an ad, and they even go to an information booth sponsored by MSN fucking internet service in 2005. Right? What the fuck? Right? You have to swipe a card. It seems like what we do now.
Yeah,
it's like, you want a subscription to search? All right. That'll be $9.99. Now you only get 3 searches.
It's like the reverse lookup thing. Here's you did all this stuff to get there, but you're going to need a credit card.
Fuck.
Never mind.
Damn it. I wanted the fucking free iPhone. but yeah, they're there, and because they had already killed Buscemi, right? And then because Diamond Hinsu or whatnot, he gets involved because Sean Bean's like, "Yo, take care of it. I don't care what."
Yeah,
what
we've
happens.
got product loose.
We need to.
And
stop
we get
this.
to see Sean Bean's like interaction with all these people that he's pitching to, basically the service.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, they're it's just cells. There's no.
Yeah, he's selling them a new deal too.
Well, he's telling them that it's not. They don't come to like a full-grown human. It's just cells in like a petri dish, basically.
Yeah.
Which
is not the case.
Obviously not.
His
Because
motive.
he even says, he goes, if they thought they were conscious beings,
They wouldn't do it.
They're less likely.
Yeah, but what's his end game on that?
They don't find out when he starts screaming about it later.
Yeah, I mean, it's just he's in the business of killing. You know what I mean? Everybody's marked.
Soon I will have the cure for leukemia and all these children's diseases.
Everything. And the dude's like, so.
But really, it's about money.
Yeah, it's all about money.
Yeah.
He's like, there's only two people that would say that, you and God, or some shit like that. But that comes later.
Yeah.
But he gets hired, basically. He's the merc, Yeah. It's like, go get him, So it's all the big, dudes look like they were in prison.
Yeah.
And shit,
Ex-Navy SEALs or something.
Yeah. And they're all strapping on weird police badges and shit like that, right?
From the French Foreign Legion or something. Well, I love it because he pulls that bag out and it's just like opens it up and there's like police, SWAT, all these different badges. So they just pick what ones they want to put on.
Yeah, at that time.
Yeah, so they end up escaping on the train to L.A. After Buscemi gets shot.
Yeah.
And they try to follow him on there, but they're tricky.
Well, they chased him in the most painful fucking, where she nails the dude's hands in the fucking door.
That was so good. They're chasing him on foot, and yeah, man, she takes a nail gun and first of all, she almost put out Ewing's eye,
almost killed him,
right? And then that guy goes to reach in, and she just nail guns his hand to the door.
4 fucking nails.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ, like. It's like ba-gung, 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 ba-gung. And then he gets hit with the crowbar to add insult to injury.
Yeah.
So like the dude's having the worst fucking day. And they even say that in the elevator. They have that deal. He's like, bad day.
Yep.
But they get into this massive chase kind of a deal, to where, because they get busted by the cops because of the stolen credit card that was flagged.
When they're after the train got to LA.
Because he tells them, use the card until tomorrow and then just use the cash. And she's like, well, I don't know what the fuck this is.
Yeah.
So at this point, they're looking for their doubles. They're looking for the people on the outside.
Right.
She's looking for his doesn't show up, but hers does. She makes a call through that little fucking information booth, and the little kid on the other line's like, "No, she's in the hospital. Is that you, mommy?"
In 2005, for a video phone public communications, I mean, wow,
it looked fucking great.
Yeah.
But we still get fucking choppy photos of the moon that are official. You know what I mean?
Same with that blurry Sasquatch.
There you go. The Spider-Man. Whatever the thing in the
Antarctic. Yeah.
No, it's like the blurriest fucking photo. It's a trail cam from 1984. They don't even make those anymore. It takes 3 photos a year.
Each photo, the 3 photos, the only reason they do that is it's a max memory that thing will hold.
Yes. It's like 0.4 kilobytes. You can't send a file that big. But no. But so they're on the run. They're going through all of this fucking shit. They end up.
Well, and so like they're all the mercenaries. Like they come, they're like, we got them, we found them, right? Mm-hmm. Because they use the information booth.
Yeah.
They use the CCTV stuff to kind of narrow it down, and then they're like, oh, his credit card went off. Boom.
Yeah,
this is where he's at.
And the LA cops show up.
And they're like, but the police are on the way. So they rush down there, and then they kill all the police.
Well, this is the one part of the whole movie that really gets me is the cop car stops in the middle of the intersection.
Yeah.
And then they radio in. I'm like, what the fuck is that? Why would you stop in the middle of the intersection? The other light was red.
Right.
The cross light was red. But then they get run over, right? So they're cool.
With the armored car.
Yeah, they get run over with the armored car. So they get out. They do all their running and shit like that. They end up on the back of a truck.
Yeah. They find a truck. Like after they run out, there's a truck rolling, so they jump on the back.
And it's got like 42 wheels.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a full trailer
it's the
full of wheels.
of 2019.
Right. A full trailer of wheels with Dodge Magnums behind it. You know,
they're train wheels too.
Yes,
so.
they're actual fucking iron train wheels.
Yeah.
Which they get in there. She can't.
Now all the trains that we've seen so far float.
Yes. So what the fuck are those?
Where are they taking these train wheels?
Are they? Yeah. Whoa. That one just fucking. That was like a laser beam straight to my fucking temple. I was like, holy shit, that's
maybe
right.
They're shipping them out to a third world country or something that
maybe
still
they
uses regular trains.
Melt them down or some shit like that.
Something.
Yeah, because they have grab trains.
Yeah.
Why do they have gravity-driven trains and we can't have a fucking Amtrak?
I don't know.
Should be fucking legit, right? But no, yeah. So they're on that. So they're on the back of that truck, and they get tracked because there's, of course, the Mercs have a helicopter,
right?
And they got those really badass Dodge Magnums. So they're going down the fucking highway. She can't fit through something, and he just basically grabs one of the tie downs. It's like ba-gink, and it fucking, that shit looks fucking cool and mean as fuck. Yeah. It's just like ba-bink, ba-bink.
People are getting Final Destination all over the place.
That one car gets split in the fucking middle.
I know, right?
But like something, and she's like, "Whoa!" I think at one point she's like, "Wow," and like that was her reaction. It was like, "Okay," so yeah, basically they get that truck stops abruptly right in the middle of the fucking road, right?
Well, because they take it out.
Yeah.
The Sky Cycle people or whatever.
Yeah. So yeah,
that's where we see
the Sky Cycles,
whatever they are, the floaty motorcycles.
Yeah, the double decker fucking
yeah.
They're badass, right?
Yeah,
They are
super cool.
Air ski-doos.
And this is where almost everybody dies making this movie. Yes. Most importantly, Michael Bay, I guess. I think Scarlett Johansson said she took something to the face. Ewan McGregor's like, those things really hurt your nuts. He was not comfortable.
If you watch them running through their facility when they're first getting out, he knocks somebody out of the way, or their stunt double does, and Scarlett Johansson's character is right behind him on his back, right? Well, he knocks that person into her, and she fucking plows right into that dude, and he keeps going. And I was like, whoa. But again, they're stopped, right? And he finds the fucking come along. Yeah. He finds that fucking big giant come along, which is conveniently placed at a lot of different places.
Yeah.
Which I don't understand.
But,
So he takes out one.
We didn't do that tie down job.
It's just that chain. It's like, you got to pull it fucking hard as shit because you got train trestles on there.
Yeah.
And so they get on the bike. He doesn't know how to fucking drive it,
but he does, and that's the weird part.
He figures it out.
Because like almost right away he can fly it. I mean, there's some bumps in the road, but I'm saying for someone who's never seen anything like that and just get on it and know how to fly it, something, right?
And it makes sense.
It does
after after a little while, because you're like, God damn, how fast he's learning that shit pretty fast, right? Yeah. Well, while they were in the cop car, they look up his information, and they show Lincoln. Yeah. Right. And they're like, oh, and he sees his address and everything, and they're in San Pedro or some shit like that, right? So he's like, okay, I saw the address, I know where to go. So they're doing that, and this is the cityscape with all the different trains. That's pretty fucking cool. Yeah. Public transit systems like that. There's still cars, blah blah blah. It looked pretty cool. Yeah. That's where they do a lot of the recycling of Transformers Part 2.
Originally, the story was supposed to be 100 years in the future, but there was no budget for that. Because Michael Bay likes to blow shit up. So that's why they set it in 2019.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, because all that shit would still be there. Yeah. They just built upon it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they get into that Sky Cycle battle, and there's a couple of shots in that where you're like, oh, God, guys. You could have just like taken out one more of those little like train wheels that fell off and fucking amped this part up.
For sure.
Just right there, right? No, they don't. So they end up crashing into the side of a building and then flying through the other side.
Yeah.
Onto the top of a well-placed letter. The bank logo or whatnot, the R for Wrangler or something.
The letter R. for replacement.
Yes. Replicant. So they're there, and she's all freaking out, like, "Oh my God, don't drop me!" So of course the two mercs at the top start firing down. They don't
letter detaches.
Yeah, they don't think about like, let's just jump through the window that just got exploded, and then just run down.
Yeah, no, it made more sense.
No, but they just hold on, try to stay out of the way. Then the fucking thing falls off.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Way up there, too.
70 stories.
Yeah.
70 fucking stories. And they're hanging on like the Ninja fucking Turtles, right?
Yeah, because it hits some things and slows it down and then gets caught. And they're still holding on because...
They get thrown off into the construction of a building that's only like 8 stories.
Yeah.
They did that in fucking Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They did that in that movie.
Okay.
They did that in the movie where the whole fucking
Michael Bay
sign,
one?
Yes, the whole one where the sign falls all the way down.
I've never seen that movie.
Holy shit! He recycles the fuck out of his stuff.
Because I saw Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze. I don't need to see any other more turtle movies.
Turtle 3, Turtles in Time.
I saw that one in the theater.
but yeah, they live, and the only way that they really they acknowledge that is that one guy, the construction worker, is like, Jesus must love you guys.
He really loves you.
Yeah, Jesus must really love you. And so
Jesus or God?
God.
I think it was God.
It
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It's
I just
a funny throwaway.
Remember. Yeah.
It was just a funny throwaway line. You're like, God damn. So they
guy's thirsty for some Scarlett Johansson.
Everybody, that's all they talk about.
Yeah.
Even
because she was a big model. You know?
Yeah, and everybody's like, "Oh, goddamn, she's fucking hot," and everybody's like, "Oh, shit."
Especially the conversation they're about to have.
Yeah, because they end up at his house.
The sponsor, the guy who paid the money to make his clones.
Yes, his
backup parts.
He's his insurance policy.
Yes.
He shows up, he can get in, he gets hit by him, and Ewan McGregor's doing his normal, Scottish voice because he's from Scotland.
Yeah.
So he's talking like he normally does. He's like, "Why is your voice different?" Yeah. But yeah, at the same time,
he's kind of mocking the things he's saying. He's like, "Stop that!"
He's like, "Stop right now!" So you're getting to see all these little glimpses of things, and this is the good part about this movie is they have these little glimpses of things that do lead to other things.
That's right.
If you're paying attention,
right.
So they're there. They don't really. He's like, "How do we get there?" Because that's the president. He's like, "Who's that guy? I've seen that guy down there, And he's like, "I know him." Well, that's the president.
Yeah, turns out he's a customer too.
Yeah, so he's like, "Well, we'll go down to NBC or something." Yeah. After he tells him his kind of life story, how he's got like fucking some weird disease from having sex or something. Was that the truth? Or
yeah, that's why he had him for a backup.
Yeah, it was
from
like
all his philandering.
Hepatitis something.
Yeah.
It was something that was going to kill him.
Too much boning dirty chicks.
Yeah, right. With no protection.
Yeah, right.
So he's growing
or
this...
maybe he was the dirty one all along. Who knows?
Yeah. Maybe.
But we find out that he designed motorcycles and boats. And specifically, didn't they show that boat?
As soon as he walks in, it was like the Renata or something.
Yeah. Whatever the word was.
Yeah.
The
Rinsler.
Rumba. I don't know.
Well, they keep alluding to him doing this because a doctor comes in at one point to talk to Sean Bean, and he's like, "Listen," because they get the little bitty dills back,
the beads,
and
haptic feedback,
and he's like, "Hey,"
not the right word.
He's like, "This is whenever we brought him into this world. Look at his brain synapses, but look at it now.
Yeah,
so it's grown in like 30 years
like,
over 3 years.
Yeah, he's like, so those are memories, but they're not his.
Yeah.
Oh,
but he's increasing his learning capacity every fucking single second. That's how he learned how to do the bike. That's how he learned fucking everything.
What I took from it was the memories that he had weren't his; they were his clones, and that was his sponsors.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how he knew instinctively how to ride the bike.
Yeah, it was all in
That's
there. Yeah.
the drawing of that boat,
Mhm.
right?
So
the memory of the boat.
Yeah,
those were all memories from before that guy got cloned. So once he was,
in that position, he could do it.
Right.
Yeah. Well, he's just growing that exponentially. So he's not really still a kid at this point. There's only one other time that he kind of acts like it.
Right.
But we find
out, like, again, that these guys are like 3 and 4 years old. And that's really what they have is basically the mindset of a teenager.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scarlett Johansson sees hers, which is the woman. He sees him. They get to know each other. He's fucking totally like horn dogging on fucking Scarlett Johansson,
Oh, his sponsor?
Yeah, his sponsor, right?
He's like, oh, wait, you're a virgin?
Yeah,
With somebody like that?
What?
I'm not going to ruin it for you.
Because obviously he likes it. He's going to die because of
You're
it.
going to love it.
But yeah, they get into that where they're going to go up to the station, right?
Yeah, the local like newscast,
Right.
basically.
The whole time that he's kind of introducing himself, he's taking off the bracelets.
Yeah.
And they notice that they have these fucking brands on them, right? So they're like, well, that's kind of weird. And that's when he, notices their skin so soft. So all those little bitty things, again, they just kind of pay off.
Yeah.
Which is really cool about it. And they,
Then he goes up and makes a phone call.
yeah, he's like, why is my
I'll be right back. I gotta grab my jacket.
Yeah, why is my insurance policy here?
In my fucking living room.
Yes, the dude's a real dick.
Yeah.
Even though he's talking to his other self, and
Yeah.
he seems altruistic, like he's like, yeah, let me help you, but no.
Turns out he's a big douchebag.
Yes, he is a fucking complete asshole. So he leads him into a trap, but the whole time, Lincoln 6 Echo has the bracelet off, but he still has it on him. We don't really know what happened to it, right? So doesn't Scarlett Johansson, she stays there.
Yeah. Like, cause she realizes something's going on.
Yeah. She's like,
Something's not right. And he's like, okay. And they're like, well, let's go. And he goes, no, she's going to stay here.
yeah.
Like he's changing up the plan, right?
Yeah, so it throws a little monkey wrench into it, or a come along, and so basically, like,
Is that when he pulls the gun?
yes, yeah. So
Sponsor pulls a gun.
and they lead him into another set of Transformers, right? And Diamond Hinsu shows up, right? And he's like, okay, but he slips because they get into a fight, and he slips the fucking bracelet. But we
Yeah.
don't realize it's on the wrong hand.
Right.
But Diamond Hinsu, for some reason, is the fucking baddest ass merc there ever was, right?
Because there's two of them. They're both saying that they're the
Yeah.
original guy, the sponsor.
And he's speaking like him too.
Yeah.
Exactly like him.
Yep.
So, which is, he's like, no, shoot him. And then he sees the bracelet and he shoots him. He kills him.
Yep.
So you're like, oh shit, movie's over.
No.
That's 2 hours into it. So
Because now they're free and they're clear. They're ready to go, right? But that's not enough for them.
no,
They've got to go free all the other people that are in this facility.
because we don't know this yet, but Sean Bean's going through everything, losing $214 million worth of product, because he's going through the Echo series. Everything that was part of what's his nuts, or Lincoln.
It was
6.
it wasn't like more than that because it ended up being like Echo series and beyond, right?
4 generations.
Yeah,
He's like,
yeah.
we got 4 generations of damaged product. We
Yeah.
got to start over again. So he's thinking in the not necessarily the monetary part of it. He's just like, hey, let's keep this fucking shit going while everything's falling apart outside. So yeah, of course he gets busted. He knows. And then that's whenever that home dude calls him the next day and they kind of formulate that plan, what they're going to do.
Yeah, the home dude's like, hey, sorry about what happened yesterday. We need you to come in. We're going to give you a new product, a new insurance policy for free. No additional cost.
Right.
And he's like, I'll call you back.
Yeah.
And that's when they like talk about their plan, right? But we don't really hear the plan at all.
So we don't really know. She's still staying there, technically, I guess.
Well, sort of.
They send a helicopter to pick him up to go give the new blood sample, right?
Right.
So he goes in there, and this is another thing with all the cameras and all the fucking thing. Lincoln 6 Echo has the fucking scratch on his head in the one spot, and they don't even fucking spot that, right?
Right.
So they're basically, they invite him into the deal, and we see Scarlett Johansson buying ice cream for everybody.
Yeah,
But yeah,
for
she
a bunch of
uses,
kids.
She uses a credit card, which leads back to a line that Steve Buscemi says. He's like, "Don't ever give a woman your credit card."
Right.
Like, God damn, man, you must hate women. So
There's one universal truth.
yes.
What?
And she swipes it, but yet she stares at it, so it still kind of puts you in a. You're like, what the fuck, right? So they get her. He's already into the facility. He's already tied up a couple of people. right? Because they figure out, holy shit, he's fucking, that was the wrong wrist. They're like, wrong wrist, he's still out there, right?
Yeah,
we killed the fucking real dude. So yeah, so she eventually runs into him, but at that same time they're doing massive lottery winnings,
Right. Yeah.
So they have all the rest of the people in that series,
like pretty much everybody that you knew as a character,
right? And that one dude kind of rats
in the elevator.
Yeah, they all have him in the elevator. But then that one guy, the one that had been there the longest, right? He's like, hey, I don't know if you know this, Doc, but something's going on here. He's like fucking so sure. He's like, I don't even know how big it is, but something's going on. Yeah. So then they end up
put it
killing
together for you.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, good.
He
good.
angrily stabs him in the neck too.
I know,
he's like
that-
shaking, like,
Well, this
fucking
whole
guy.
world's coming crashing down,
Yeah, I don't know what. So home dude's dead.
Yeah.
But yet Neelix, his friend, because his friend does express a little. He's like, I want to know where my friend is. He's my only friend. He's my best friend. He's my only friend.
Right.
So he's a little kind of weird, eccentric, kind of in the weird way, And then they win the lottery, and I love it how they're all sitting in the hallway, and that's totally genuine. The way he's like, oh, see, and I figured this out, and oh, something's happening. I mean, that's fucking totally. That's like one of the best parts of it too.
Sure.
It's just those little bitty moments like that, and then they're taking him downstairs while they're still looking for him, right?
Right.
And Hinsu, of course, drops her off, right? But he notices the tattoo on her wrist. And that's when he's talking to Sean Bean.
He goes to have his conversation with Sean Bean about how the mission was done.
How everything was done, and then also how he gets branded. Because he noticed that because his father was part of some rebellion.
Yeah.
And to mark everybody, they branded them all, just like they branded them. So he has a little bit of empathy for them.
Right.
He's like, what the fuck, right? So he's kind of like, I don't know what the hell's going on. But yet, we don't really get to see him kind of come into the picture till a little bit later because he helps them. And they go down and they basically go down into fucking an incinerator for the people live.
Yeah.
And that dude's like, hey, are you new here? I mean, I don't think this is the right place. I mean, could you go get somebody that works?
We're supposed to be going to the island.
Yeah, why can't I take my bag? And they're like, no, just get in. Everybody just leads in very easily.
And that's when Ewan
Yeah.
pops up and's like, stop that elevator.
Stop him. And Diamond Hinsu's like, poo, poo. Yeah. guns. So they help everybody get out while the fucking turbines are up.
Yeah.
It's like, holy shit, that's fucking scary as fuck. So, rest their souls in, the genocide of fucking Germany.
But, so they escape.
They get out. They finally get free, right? And Diamond Hinsu helps him, and he gets into this big epic battle with fucking Sean Bean in the main turbine because his main deal is he wants to get in there to shut off the holographic machines,
Right.
to kind of show him what's really going on. So when he finally gets that done, everybody's like, oh, whoa, really? What
is this?
And they all escape from the same fucking missile silo hatch that they escaped from earlier.
The secret missile silo hatch.
And at
Doesn't
this
make
point,
any sense. Go ahead.
yeah, and there's no fence. There was a fence when they were there, but no fence no more. They're in fucking somewhere. They're in the desert somewhere. But yeah, then that's it, isn't it?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Great.
Obviously, there's a lot more that we didn't talk about, but that's because, you should watch it yourself.
Yeah, you should watch The Island and pick up on those little bitty things that are really cool on it.
And there it is. Let me ask you this. I'm just letting you drink. How many Sean Beans out of 10 would you give this movie?
4.
Really? I think I would probably go the other route. I would probably go about 6.5.
I would give the
Just
concept.
because of the concept and the actors were good.
What would you have called it except for The Island?
Anything.
What would have worked? What about echoes? Because that's what they are.
Stir of one each.
What would you title it to where people would be like, oh, it's a movie about clones?
I don't know that I would want them to know it's about clones. So I think that's the other side of it. It has to be something that's catchy enough and gives you a sense of something.
Ambiguous to
But ambiguous to what it's actually about.
Yeah.
Because I do like the fact that I didn't know that when I first watched it, right? I was like, oh, this is unfolding.
Yeah.
And like you said, there's lots of little pieces that pay off later, right? If you're paying attention.
Yeah.
You know?
If you watch it more than once.
Why do you always give me this white shirt?
I wanted a blue one. It's
hard to keep clean.
Color? Yeah. One of his shoes is missing at one point.
Yes,
You're like,
yeah.
what the fuck, right?
Right.
I mean, so yeah, I don't know what I would call it though.
Yeah, I would have to. I didn't game plan for that. That would
No.
that would take some thinking to really give you something solid.
Something good.
Yeah.
You know?
It's just maybe Lincoln 6 Echo. Yeah, hard to say. Maybe not.
I have a few notes that I took down about Armageddon and Transformers. There's so many similarities and all that shit, but it's the mix of Logan's Run and THX 1138 is the one thing that I really wanted to point out.
Sure.
Because it does follow.
It hits all of those.
Yes. I mean, Logan's Run, they were turning, 30 and they get killed.
Yeah.
They get, pulled up into the fucking circle of life or some shit. They become fucking Soylent Green.
Made of people.
Yes. Don't give it away.
No.
It's a fucking great movie.
That is a great movie.
but
I feel like most people only know that quote anyways.
yeah.
So
But
it's fine.
yeah, Logan's Run has this really cool, I don't know, Mr. Rogers looking neighborhood in space or some shit, It's like ding, 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 and they show him on the deal. So it looks fucking cool.
Yeah,
and plus
yeah.
they got the little glowworms in their hands, you
Yeah.
know, the little jewels. But then THX 1138 is the more dirtier. We don't even know what the fuck those people
Right,
are.
right.
Yeah, but they have robot cops in a white atmosphere.
So
It's fucking weird.
So these guys actually got sued for a 1979 movie called Parts: The Clonus Horror, which is about a colony that breeds clones to harvest organs for the the elite rich people. So they got sued, and DreamWorks was like, "Yeah, we'll just make that go away." And judge is like, "No, there's too many similarities."
Yeah.
So they actually ended up. I wonder how much money they actually lost on this movie after paying those people out. I don't know what the number was. Could have been minimal. I don't know. It's not like Parts: The Clonus. It's not like they had it's not like they had a huge amount of money they made, anyways.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Technically, by Hollywood math, they didn't make shit.
right.
They were in the red still.
Well, it depends. I don't think that's true because of the amount of publicity they didn't do for this movie.
Oh, okay.
So all
saved.
that piece wasn't there.
Yeah.
And that's the next biggest piece.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they probably broke even. But yeah, so they had to pay those dudes out some money. I have not seen that movie yet, though. I might have to watch
I know.
it.
I need to find it.
Yeah.
And I remember watching the original THX 1138, which all it really was his student film, right?
Yeah.
George Lucas's, and it was like a 15-minute deal of numbers and weird cars and shit. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
But then the movie with Robert Duvall was pretty fucking crazy.
Yeah, for sure.
So you can kind of put those together along with some other supposedly dystopian type stuff, but this wasn't even a dystopian future.
Right.
You think it is, which is a very good kind of MacGuffin.
Right.
in the whole
but it's
thing.
still the future.
It is. Yeah. They got trains.
2019.
I know. I mean, they had
Yeah.
video calling.
Yeah.
Jesus. It's like 2001. Jesus. But the world like that would be...
I want those floaty motorcycles.
That would be badass.
I want the sky cycle.
The Skydoos.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah. They just don't have a stream of air popping out the back. It's clouds just being expelled. You're like, whoa, it's the Jetsons. But I did enjoy the movie because, like I said at the very beginning, I can enjoy Michael Bay movies in the way that they're so fucking over the top.
Unless
and
it's Pearl
stupid.
Harbor, yeah.
Even then, I don't think I've watched that movie more than once.
Of course,
it's just
because it's terrible.
Cuba Gooding Jr. yelling again.
Yeah, he's a
Woo!
national treasure.
You don't step on his sneakers.
Apparently, you've not seen Gladiator.
Yes. I was really kind of like hoping Brian Dennehy would have taken that franchise to the next level.
Oh my god! Boy, the main star would have probably loved that because I think he only acted in Lifetime movies after that.
Tommy Boy, and then he died.
Oh yeah.
But no, I don't really have it. I love the concept of this movie. I love the idea behind it. And it was made exactly the way that it should have been. But like I said, I think it was tree outs for every other movie that Michael Bay did after that.
Yeah.
This could have had Mark Wahlberg in it. It probably could have.
Thank God it didn't. What nothing about.
But what was it about these characters in this movie as being exactly like all of his other ones?
Sure.
It fell.
Yeah. I mean, that's
It's
what he
War
does.
of the Worlds.
Yeah.
It's fucking War of the Worlds.
That's what he does.
Killed it, They had nothing to fucking grow, and it's gone in 60 seconds, bitching.
Yeah.
I mean, he jumps a fucking a Mustang over like 80 cars
Well, that's
on a
like
bridge.
nothing now. Have you not seen Fast and the Furious 75 or whatever, where they jump in space?
Yeah, don't they like fly to the fucking moon and shit?
Not to the moon, but I mean, Ludacris is driving a car in space.
Oh, it can turn.
Him and whoever, I don't remember who the character was because I don't care about those characters. But yeah.
They got good weather stripping.
Yeah, for sure. But no, I think I'd give this 6.5 Sean Beans.
It's respectable.
For sure.
That's respectable.
Yeah, like I enjoyed, and again, I think that it's a tale of two movies. I didn't necessarily hate, like I like action movies.
Yeah.
There's times when Michael Bay is filming things where I'm like, you're just doing too much. Calm the fuck down.
Yeah, not that much.
Yeah.
Well, what if they turn this into a TV series? What do you think?
You could do it. I think that it would have to be a finite series unless you're going to go a whole different direction.
Two seasons?
Maybe
2 seasons at 45 minutes an episode. I think you could really dive into the characters.
Dive in. Yeah, so I think you're right, and you could name it something else because the island's a dumb name. This movie, I'll have to think about that. Something that's smart.
The Clone Wars. He was already in that one.
Or was that him? Was it a clone?
Holy shit! It was Obi-Wan 6 Echo.
Yeah, so I think you could do this I would do it a little differently. I would spend not necessarily more time, because I would say a good third, not quite half, but a third of this movie's like before he escapes.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Well, you could get into more of the younger acting character. You could see his evolution while he's there and
I think
asking those questions.
So
The reason why it works in this one is because he's still really young when it happens. So he's like, ooh, squirrel. Ooh,
Yeah.
squirrel. Ooh, squirrel.
Agreed. But I think that you would only be able to go so far. Like you said, maybe 2 seasons. Maybe a season and a third where you're inside that world before you know.
Yeah.
And because it would get boring.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Watching the same interactions, there's really nothing going on, but yet there's something.
You could play it a different way and make it more of an interactive, more of a social style show. You could do like 5 seasons just inside that place if you really wanted to like let things out very slowly with the doctors and the different characters.
You could take you could take the 3 acts from this movie, and the first act of the TV series would be like the first 6 episodes. The middle section of the arc could be the last 4 episodes and the beginning 4 episodes, and then you have another third act of 6 episodes or some shit like that.
Okay.
You know, something like that. You know, but you kind of spread that out so you don't rest too much on its laurels at the very beginning, right? But then not go for the action on that part of it because it wouldn't be a Michael Bay TV show,
right?
How the fuck could they do that?
They couldn't. And if they did, it'd be wrong.
It would star Nicolas Cage.
That's right.
He's the doctor.
And Mark Wahlberg.
And Shia LaBeouf.
Oh my God.
Damn. That's the trifecta. That's the Michael Bay trifecta. That's the triple double of Michael Bay movies right there.
That's true.
Damn.
That's true.
And then throw in the ghost of fucking...
Throw a bit of Fleck in there. Using 2 of them, right?
Yeah. You'd have to throw in the ghost of fucking Sean Connery.
Oh, there you go. I really thought you were going a different direction with that, and I'm just going to keep that to myself.
Yeah.
Um,
Patrick Swayze?
no. This guy's still alive. Anyways. But yeah, that was The Island. I say check it out. I think keep an open mind.
Always check it out.
Don't have any expectations.
Yeah. I think the movies that we put out on this, we enjoy them, and we're gonna.
We don't always enjoy them. Some of them were like, Jesus God, that was terrible.
Fuck, that was bad.
But I don't think this was one of those.
But it's an experience all in its own.
That's right.
That's the
right.
beauty of movies is you have these experiences while you're watching them. Either you're laughing the fuck out of how silly and stupid Wonder Woman runs, or you're watching something that like unfolds way too fast.
Yeah.
You know, there's so much in these things that you could lose yourself, and something like this can lend to a conversation like this, which is really cool.
Absolutely.
And I think if we do, like we were discussing this off air or off mic, whatever, 5 minutes ago, about doing a tangential, or I don't even know if that's right.
Sure.
Doing podcasts after on a tangent.
Yeah.
So it's like, what do you pick out of this one to go to the next one? Would it be THX 1138? Would it be Logan's Run?
It could be, since we watched The Island, it could be The Beach.
Yes.
You know, I mean, it could be anywhere you want to go. I'm not saying that's where
and
we're
it doesn't.
going.
And it doesn't even have to be a movie. It could be a comic book series or something like that.
A band.
Yeah, there you go.
Played in the soundtrack. Who knows?
Yeah.
You
See,
know?
that would. I
So
think
that's how we're going to keep it going this season.
that's what we're going to try. Yeah, we're going to just try to keep on tangents on these to kind of. And if anybody out there is like, hey, why don't you do this one because it's kind of like this? That would be fucking awesome.
Or because of this, you should do this. Yes, absolutely.
Yes, that would be great to see what those suggestions are, even if we've already picked something else.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. We can do whatever we want.
Yeah.
We're the boss.
We're the bosses of this.
We're like Tony Danza and Alyssa Milano up in here.
Who's who?
We're just going to leave that alone.
Okay.
Schmangela. Yeah, but where can they let us know? You can just let us know at dropculture.com, dropculturepodcast@gmail.com, at dropculture at Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all of those little social places.
Yes.
Yeah. And as always, you can send up a smoke screen. It's wet time weather. We don't mind.
We'll see it.
That's right. Keeping an eye out.
Mitigate that lawn. All right. Later, dudes.
Out of here like Sean Bean.